initially what caught my interest about the story was the 5 children that she had and the fact that she's missing, and the husband as well. And then I looked into the court documents, and having past experience myself with relationships that were controlling, I think that seeing how the judge handled it and the protection order and everything that went along with it, it's important to me because a lot of people can relate to it in that aspect. So I feel like following it matters because it will call for change, so to speak, for those who need it when it comes to domestic violence. If this is the case, that's really what is attractive to me. Of course, finding her is important, but I do feel like a lot of people can relate to that aspect of the case, him, whether he did or not murder her, and what came before it, what led up to that, I think is important. And could she have been protected, and was she to the fullest extent? So I think those things do matter, and things like that need attention. So that's really what drove me to follow it. I think because being in Connecticut, it really does, it hits home. There's a lot of people that are following it because being in Connecticut, we don't really get these big kind of stories to follow. So it is something that is taking people by surprise, and they're not used to hearing about in this state. I think the last big case was like the wood chipper case that was followed like to this extent. So I think that's pretty much why everybody wants to know what happened, where is she, and being that it is in the state of Connecticut, which isn't huge, people everybody wants to know, and everybody is interested in knowing where she is and where she could be. So I think that that's really what gravitates people towards it, is because we don't really have cases like this going on around here. I have an opinion, and that's what it is. It is an opinion, but at the same time, we don't have the facts. So, when it comes to the law and the evidence and the charges and indictments, those are things that, those are facts that we'll see come about in the future. But I believe everybody has created their own opinion. The public, for example, has their strong opinion. And from what the media has shown us so far, I believe, of course, the opinion would be that I would think he knows where she is. So, but that's something we will find out eventually. But that would be my opinion. Yes, I do feel like he is responsible for her being missing.
Do you think that there is, like obviously in the U.S. we have a presumption of innocence when there's something. I mean, do you think that he has been treated unfairly, or do you think there's enough evidence that sort of would point to a certain direction?
I feel like there is enough evidence for people to have the opinions that they do. I believe that what they've gathered so far is sufficient enough for us to think that he does know where she is. Just the given history, the court documents, how volatile she, she's a writer herself. So seeing what she's written in the past and seeing the court documents, I mean, even before her going missing right there, I think shows that, there's an issue in that relationship, and it was volatile. So for him to, for her to go missing, and then for them to have this evidence of him in a truck and blood, and I mean, yeah, there's definitely enough evidence for people to have an opinion of him being guilty. But, you never know. I mean, it's the way the media spins it as well. Who knows? I think it is a part of the news. I think that's how, it always has been. It always, with the way people are, they're so interested. They form their own opinions, their own thoughts. Some people already decide that they're guilty when they're not. And it's all personal opinion, really. So at the same time, you got to bring the facts forward and the evidence, because that does matter. But everybody is entitled to form their own opinion. And whether it's good or bad, I don't know. It is important to know the facts. I do believe that. Realistically, I don't know if they will find her or not. I pray that they do, for the sake of the family, the friends, the children, just to know. So I do believe, that he is guilty. So realistically, I hope it goes through the courts, and if he is found to be guilty, that he will be put in jail and serve his time. And I think that's, hopefully, if the evidence shows that he is guilty, then that's what will happen. That's what I think will happen, unfortunately. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, who else could it be? Like when you think about it, if it is someone else, that would be a shock, that's for sure. If a whole nother story or a whole nother reason for it, that would be shocking. But hey, anything is possible. But from the evidence they have so far and what the media has shown us, it looks like it is him, and hopefully justice will be served if that's the case. I am a crime fan, yes. Casey Anthony, just all of those, like you said, John Benet Ramsey, cases like that. I do love the criminal shows as well. So those things are interesting to me, and I think it's important because to see that people are held accountable for their actions, because those are things that are not okay. Like when you're harming people, hurting them, killing them, you need to be held accountable for it, put in jail. We don't need people like that roaming the streets. So
is what draws you to it the sense of justice?
Yes, and it is also interesting to see how people can do and act that way when it just seems so shocking, to people that would never do such a thing or could never dream of doing something like that to somebody. To be able to see that happen to others, especially so close to home, I think that's what is, really interesting, because it blows my mind how you could think to kill someone or harm someone, especially with, a family or so many children that love them. I mean, that's really what is shocking. So I think that's what, even with Casey Anthony, with her daughter, it's like, who knows? You never know. But that's what keeps me interested. Yes, it is. I think the psychology of the person that would do those things is what blows my mind. Yes, I have noticed that, and I think it goes to the fact that a lot of women can relate to this because they have been in abusive relationships before, and that's very common, unfortunately. So these women can relate to this case in the sense that he's controlling, the things that she wrote about him being volatile, things like that. People can relate to, especially females. Unfortunately, men also are abused as well, but more females than men. So that is what draws the attention from the females into this case. A lot of them can relate to it, and in a sense, they probably want to see justice done. Considering, if he is guilty, then they want to make sure that he serves his time.